Welcome to our explainer on the absolutely awe-inspiring Jagannath Temple in Puri, Odisha. Today, we're going to unpack a truly fascinating blend of ancient engineering, massive cultural festivals, and deep-rooted faith. Whether you're an architecture buff, a history enthusiast, or just someone who loves a good cultural mystery, this towering 12th century monument holds secrets that literally challenge everything we know about ancient engineering.
Okay, let's dive right into a mind-bending puzzle that's going to immediately grab your attention. Why is the airspace above this towering 214-foot structure completely avoided by birds and commercial airplanes? There are 0 declared no-fly zones here by aviation authorities, and yet the skies directly above the temple remain remarkably clear. It's a phenomenon that has baffled observers for centuries, and it perfectly sets the stage for the incredible dualities we're going to explore today.
To figure all this out, our agenda today covers 5 key areas: the Temple of Mysteries, the world's largest kitchen, the origin of Juggernaut, rebirth of the gods, and ancient engineering in science. Let's just get right into it.
Section 1. The Temple of Mysteries.
Notice the striking contrast here between belief and science. We've got 3 really specific anomalies to look at. First, the temple flag. People swear it flutters in the opposite direction of the wind. Second, the main temple structure casts literally 0 shadow at noon. And third, as we just mentioned, birds don't fly over the main dome. On one side, you have the divine belief, right? Devotees attribute the bird-free airspace to the protection of Garuda, the mythical eagle king. And the flag and the shadow? Well, those are seen as the divine play, or Leela, of Lord Jagannath himself, proving he transcends natural laws. But then, look at the scientific perspective. Researchers point to coastal vortexes. Basically, these are complex air swirls created when strong sea breezes hit that massive 214-foot conical structure, making it aerodynamically hostile for birds. Makes sense, right? And the vanishing shadow? That's linked to the temple's incredibly precise geographic placement near the Tropic of Cancer, combined with a vertical architectural design that just hides its own shadow at peak sun. It's this brilliant, beautiful overlap where nature, architecture, and faith all intersect.
Moving on to Section 2, the world's largest kitchen. The absolutely crucial point here is scale. Just look at this number, 752. This massive operation relies on 752 traditional wood-fired chulas, or earthen stoves. Every single day, a dedicated team of 500 cooks and 200 helpers runs these things. They use 0 electricity, no modern gas, just firewood and clay pots. And yet this kitchen somehow prepares 56 varieties of food to feed up to 100,000 people daily, especially during major festivals. And here's the kicker. The most astonishing part. Despite wild, unpredictable fluctuations in the number of daily visitors, not a single grain of food ever goes to waste, and they never run short. It's just a masterpiece of unwritten, intuitive calculation. But wait, the kitchen holds a mechanical mystery of its own. To maximize space and heat, the cook stacks 7 earthen pots vertically over a single open wood fire. Now, according to basic thermodynamics, the pot closest to the fire at the bottom should obviously cook first, right? Well, centuries of tradition and observation state the exact opposite. The food in the topmost pot is actually always ready first, followed sequentially by the ones below it. Now, whether you view this through the lens of, say, unique heat-trapping steam dynamics within the clay, or as the divine grace of the Mahaprasad, it's an absolutely astonishing daily occurrence. It's something you definitely need to take away from this explainer.
All right, Section 3, the origin of Juggernaut.
This next concept brilliantly illustrates how local traditions can literally shape global language. You know the word juggernaut, right? We use it all the time to describe a massive, unstoppable force, like a juggernaut corporation or a sports juggernaut. Well, believe it or not, this word comes directly from early European observations of the Rath Yatra festival in Puri. During this massive festival, the deities are placed on these colossal 45-foot-tall wooden chariots, and these huge structures are pulled right through the Grand Avenue by hundreds of thousands of devotees. Early foreign travelers were so completely awestruck by the sheer size, the momentum, and the unstoppable energy of Lord Jagannath's rolling chariots that they basically just adapted his name into the English word we use today. Pretty cool, huh?
Next up, Section 4, rebirth of the gods.
So unlike the permanent stone or metal idols you'd find in most ancient temples, the deities at Jagannath are carved from wood, which obviously means they're subject to decay. And this brings us to the Naba Kalabera festival, which literally translates to the New Body Festival.
This profound cycle follows a really strict timeline. It happens every 8, 12, or 18 years, and it's triggered by a super rare astrological alignment of 2 consecutive Ashada months. So, weeks prior to this, special teams actually scour the countryside for very specific, sacred neem trees. And these trees must have precise markings. We're talking things like a nearby anthill or a snake hole. Then, the most incredible part happens. At the stroke of midnight, in complete darkness, blindfolded priests transfer the Brahmapadartha, which is the unseen eternal life force, from the old wooden idols straight into the newly carved ones. The old idols are then given a formal burial. It is just a stunning, visceral representation of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth.
And finally, Section 5, Ancient Engineering and Science.
Okay, we've talked a lot about the mystical side of things, but the structural brilliance of the Jagannath temple is definitely not random. It's deeply rooted in highly sophisticated ancient Indian treatises like the Vastu Shastra and Shilpa Shastra. Now today, we might just look at these as religious texts, but back then, they functioned as the early civil engineering codes of their time. They detailed soil testing, load paths, material properties, and compressive resistance literally hundreds of years before modern structural engineering formalized any of these concepts.
Let's take a closer look at exactly what these ancient codes achieved, because honestly, this is where the genius really shines. The builders employed interlocking stone masonry completely without mortar. Why? Because this allows the building to flex and absorb tremors during an earthquake rather than just snapping. They also used what's called the Muru Prasada model. Think of it as a tapered pyramidal geometry that distributes the massive weight of the tower evenly downward, which minimizes dangerous lateral thrusts. They planned the whole layout on a symmetrical grid called Padavinyasa for balanced load bearing, and they utilized advanced foundation preparation techniques known as Bhu Samskara. This involved carefully layering sand and gravel to isolate the structure from the movement of the earth. So to put that into modern terms, these ancient architects were successfully executing base isolation and mass dampening. It's just mind-blowing. And that brings us to the core philosophy tying all of this together. Consider this truly profound tenet. Where there is offering to the Lord, even the kitchen can become sadhana, which means spiritual practice. This tells us exactly why this matters so much. You see, at the Jagannath temple, there is no separation between the empirical and the spiritual. Every precise architectural measurement that protects against earthquakes and every seemingly mundane daily chore, like stacking 7 pots in a kitchen, is fundamentally an act of deep, highly focused devotion. The engineering itself is the worship. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Is the true miracle of the Jagannath temple found in divine intervention, the vanishing shadows, the opposite flying flags, the eternal life force transfer in the dark? Or is the true miracle the sheer, undeniable brilliance of human engineering that somehow built a 214-foot earthquake-resilient skyscraper way back in the 12th century? Perhaps the real magic is that here in Puri, it's entirely impossible to separate the two. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration. I highly encourage you to look deeper into the architecture and history of this incredible monument, because honestly, we've only just scratched the surface.